Once upon a time, in the highlands of Samarkand, where the winter winds swept across earthen rooftops and dry hills stretched endlessly toward the horizon, there lived a boy named Aaron. He lived with his father, a poor weaver, yet known throughout the land. His reputation did not come from the cloth he wove, but from the silence woven into every thread. He could sit by the loom for hours, saying nothing, not even glancing around, letting the thread glide quietly through his hands. Steady, slow, and precise. Aaron, however, was different. He was like a small gust of wind, never willing to stay still. While his father sat at the loom, Aaron could only remain there for a few minutes before running outside chasing butterflies, skipping stones across the river, or gazing up at the drifting clouds in the sky. One morning, when Aaron accidentally tore the cloth his father was weaving, the old man only sighed. "My son," he said gently, "a piece of cloth is complete only when every thread is connected. But your mind, it's unraveling, just like this fabric." Aaron lowered his head, though he didn't quite understand. A few days later, a hermit named Zahid passed through the village. People said he had once been a scholar in the royal city, but had given up fame and fortune to seek peace within his soul. Aaron's father brought the boy to meet him, hoping the wise man could teach his son how to find focus. Zahid looked at Aaron for a long moment, then handed him a small burning candle. The flame flickered in the wind, fragile, yet full of life. "Take this candle," Zahid said softly. "Walk once around the temple on the hill, and then return to me. But remember, do not let the flame go out." Aaron smiled, thinking the task was easy. He walked along the sunlit path, holding the candle carefully between his hands. But as he passed a meadow where horses were galloping freely, he became lost in the sight, and a gentle breeze swept by, making the flame flicker. Then, when he heard his friends calling his name, he turned with a cheerful smile, and the flame went out. When Aaron returned, Zahid asked, "Did you see anything along the way?" "Yes," Aaron replied. "I saw the horses, the clouds, and my friends." Zahid nodded gently, his eyes kind. "Good, but you couldn't keep the flame alive just as you cannot yet keep your mind still. The mind, if not guarded carefully, will fade away, even with the smallest breeze." Aaron stood still. The candle in his hand had gone out, leaving only a thin trail of smoke curling into the air. In that faint smoke, he saw his own reflection blurred, trembling, like a dream that had never truly awakened. And for the first time, Aaron realized that the chaos was not in the world around him, it was within his own mind. From that day on, Aaron began again not with grand gestures, but with the smallest of things. Each morning, as the mist still lingered over the earthen roofs, he would light a candle, no prayers, no wishes, just sitting there quietly, watching the flame sway gently in the breeze. And whenever his mind started to wander toward things yet to come, or distant echoes calling his name, he took a deep breath and whispered softly to himself, "Come back, Aaron. Keep the flame alive." And so, each day, beside the old loom, Aaron wove cloth as if he were weaving his own soul back together. He didn't try to be fast, nor did he force himself to be slow. He simply let each thread glide through his fingers, like time gently brushing against those who pass through it. Within that steady rhythm, he came to see that even silence can move, and within every movement, there is always a quiet, deeper stillness. Then one day, Aaron's fabrics began to change. They were not only softer and more even, they seemed to breathe. A merchant from the royal city stopped by, ran his hand over the cloth, and whispered, "This fabric, it's not just beautiful, it has a soul." Aaron smiled. He knew that soul was not in the threads, but in the flame within him, a flame that had once gone out, but had been rekindled through awareness and discipline. Many years later, when Aaron had become the finest weaver in the region, one of his students asked him for his secret. He looked at the small flame on the table and said softly, "If you can keep a single flame alive in the wind, you can keep the light alive in your life." If this story made you pause for a moment to reflect, please like, share, and subscribe so together we can keep the flame of peace alive, even in a world full of winds.